Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk All the Things with Rachel and Shannon. I'm Shannon, but you are clearly.
And I'm Rachel. Hi, Shannon.
How are you?
I'm good. It's February. I'm not really sure how that happened or February. I keep saying we're halfway through. It's what, the 8th, 9th, 10th,
We're already
27th,
mid.
who knows?
Yes, we're already mid.
I'm in 2024 already,
And February is short. It's this little blip of a month.
Oh my gosh.
You blink and it's gone.
But
so
February is short, but January was a long year.
Shove it into the ocean.
It was a long year.
It was.
And I really am missing Christmas. Because I'm a Christmasaholic. You guys heard a little bit.
Yeah.
But I am missing Christmas. Everything's put away. But the other day, Coby and I were in the car, and I literally put Christmas carols on. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. And he looked at me and was like, oh. And we sang a few Christmas carols, and I was happy as a clam.
I watched a Hallmark Christmas movie on Sunday, so there you go. Because I didn't get to see all of them this year, so I'm catching up on some of them.
Gosh.
So I needed a little Christmas on Sunday. So there it is.
It's just been fun. And now we're in the lovey month.
We are in the lovey month, which sometimes is good and sometimes is hard. Depends on who you are, where you are, and we're going to talk about all that. And I think it's an interesting time for our kiddos too, because there's this whole thing about giving the Valentines at school, and I feel like that's a popularity contest. And I don't know why, but schools that have all these rules about if you're going to bring a cupcake, there has to be a cupcake for everyone. Never mind that some kids can't eat the ingredients of a cupcake, but why doesn't that apply to Valentine's?
Yeah, right.
Suddenly when it's Valentine's Day, we can't legislate that.
Yeah, right. And I think it's become something, I know some schools are closed on that day. Like, they've done some things because it is hard. This year, we've decided that we are going to, I called around a few senior centers, and Coby and I are going to go to a senior center. We're going to I'm still waiting to hear back from the activities coordinator because they're back to status quo, status normal. Because I said, are you even letting people in? And so we're going to bring flowers to the residents, and if they're going to let us make some treats, we'll make some cookies, Toronto cookies, which is a gluten-free, dairy-free cookie that I make. And then Coby's going to sing a few, like Frank Sinatra loves. He's going to do like LOVE. I mean, just something really simple, but just to go. A lot of the seniors in this whole pandemic were so isolated. They're isolated enough when they're in a senior care facility or in a retirement home. And then not to be able to have family come and visit that are available to come and visit. So I had a thought. I thought, well, why don't there's a local one around the corner from us. I called a few different places because I figured it doesn't have to be about love. I actually posted something the other day on my Instagram. I said, Valentine's is coming. And for people like me who are divorced and single, it can be very lonely. And you see all the couples and all the Hallmark movies, like you were saying, and all those things. And you see all these things. And I said, if you're feeling the loneliness of the season. I know some friends who were recently divorced as well, recently separated from their spouses, just single people, people who decide that maybe a relationship isn't what they want. Yeah. And I said, if you're feeling the loneliness of the season, reach out. I'll go to coffee with you. I'll go to tea with you. Let's go have a meal. You want to come with me to Disneyland? Let's go see a movie. Whatever it is to bring you some joy and feel loved.
That's so
because
sweet.
It is isolating.
Yeah. And I want to say, as a married person, and I've been married for 20 years, and I adore my husband, and I love him dearly, but we don't really do much for Valentine's Day because we did things for Valentine's Day when we were dating. Can I tell you the best thing he ever did for me was on Valentine's Day? He took me to see David Cassidy.
Oh.
David Cassidy saying, I think I love you, to me and a bunch of women who were throwing, and my husband was there, he was my boyfriend then, were throwing underwear at him. This was, now he's crossed over to the other side of the Rainbow Bridge. But David Cassidy, stop. It was the best. But now, so we got married and we were older and we were trying very hard to get on the nest as quickly as possible. So we got pregnant like a couple of months after we got married, and I was sick every day of my pregnancy. And so Valentine's Day rolled around, the one and only Valentine's Day that we've had married when we didn't have a child. And it was so funny because I couldn't eat anything that I wasn't going to ERP. Sorry, TMI. But he also had a class that was going to have this showcase. It was a voiceover class, and my husband has gone on to do quite a bit of voiceover. And they changed the final date, and they were having agents coming, and they changed it to Valentine's Day, which who does that? Thank you. And he was like, honey, I don't know what to do. And I was like, are you kidding me? No, go do that. I can't eat anything anyway. I'm just going to be, here being sick. Go and do that. And we were like, we'll do it, some other day, or we'll do it next year or whatever. And then of course we had a kid, and then we had a kid with autism. And so we just have gotten into this horrible habit that we don't really, and I'm not your traditional girl. I don't want somebody to spend money. I don't eat chocolate. I'm allergic to it.
Right.
I don't want flowers die. I love flowers, but they die.
And I'm extra for every holiday. So like I have heart socks on, I have the red and me and a Mickey ear, because I told Shannon that I almost didn't wear my mini ears today, and then I was like, it's just not right. You guys won't know who I am. You won't recognize me.
No, you gotta have.
But I am extra about everything. I decorate for Valentine's. I decorate for St. Patrick's Day. I decorate for Easter and the spring holiday. I decorate for when it comes summer. I mean, I am all about that. I'm about a theme. I'm about an extra. And so for me, like when Coby was little, Cupid used to come. Cupid used to come and leave a little something and little arrows to whatever. And whether he knew it was Cupid or not, Cupid was coming. So I love anything, any chance to celebrate, because I don't need chocolates and flowers, but I also hand me a rock and I'm stoked. Yeah. But I love it. I love all of that fun, hearts. It's funny because I've never been a pink, red, sparkly girl in the last 5 years. I've let my pink, my sparkle, everything shine. Because, I've always been like the shirt up to here and not wear anything and no pink and no bright colors. Now I'm like, leave that all behind. I literally have glittery boots on just because I'm so excited about sparkle and glitter now.
That's awesome.
And it's just because I think I've gotten comfortable in myself to say it's okay. Yeah. I always felt like it drew attention to me. And as a bigger girl and as just someone who always wanted to fade into the background, now I'm like, it's okay to stand out in a way it's appropriate and I feel comfortable.
You go, girl. And I want to say too that I used to decorate for and I still decorate for Christmas, and I do a little bit.
You do amazing decorations. You should see her Christmas tree and how she decorates, and the Harry Potter party, and
I used to do Halloween full out, and Thanksgiving even. And I used to do every holiday because I thought if I have a kid that my room should look like a kindergarten classroom.
Right. Same. And it's funny. I feel the same.
Right.
I looked like that before I had kids.
Right. Well, we were trying to teach him. It's Valentine's Day, and so we had to surround him with it, the environment, and then we would switch to St. Patrick's Day. But now, I find that if I do it, no one cares. My husband and my son are like.
But as long as you care, if you don't care about it, then that's okay.
I don't care.
See, I do it because I love it. Sometimes, I'll say to Coby, "Did you see this?" He's like, "Yeah, that's cool." And I'm like, I do it because I'm so extra. That's what I love to do.
I don't know. Someday maybe I'll do it again, but I don't. There's nothing. Normally, I have a garland on the fireplace. There's nothing that says Valentine. I used to have a wreath that I had made for every holiday. Right. Yes. Because someday I want to have a garage and have 12 wreaths on the garage, and it's just every month you go. But when we moved, I got rid of the Valentine's Day ones and.
Well, and organization, which brings us to the next thing that we're going to do. Yeah. Organizing all that stuff for the holidays and just organizing life. I know people talk about spring cleaning and spring life and all that stuff, and organizing. That's the huge thing with the home edit, and if it brings you joy, and I'm not about organizing by color. Sometimes I am. I shouldn't lie, because I do like to organize.
Organized, you guys.
No, I'm organized chaos. I feel I love organization, but also it's real organization.
Yes, she's very good at organization.
So one of the things that I was talking to Shannon about, I was like, should we do something? Should we do a Valentine's Day craft? Should we do something? And I was like, well, let's talk about something organizing. What is it that we have a ton of things of? And I always have friends that are like, I have all this paperwork. I have all the kids' schoolwork. I have the kids' IEP stuff. I have just all of this random stuff from therapies, all of these different things, and greeting cards that maybe they make in class. And what do I do with them? There's so much stuff. And I was like, well, let's talk about what you could do. And one of the things that we talked about was you have one box, and if you have multiple children, you have a box per children, something like this, something that closes because it gets dusty, something super easy that you can just open and close. It has a handle if you want to bring it, if you would have one specifically for your IEPs, but we were going to just show you a way to get your kids involved in having one of these, because this is something that We have these hanging folders, we have this plastic box, and we can design and make little pictures on the front, and your kids can be a part of that. So we just have some stamp pads and some pens and some file folders that, like I said, this is just an easy box that opens. I like the handle because it's easy to come into. You can get this at Target, Walmart, you can get it at Office Depot, Amazon, of course. Sometimes you can find versions of these at the Dollar Tree. And they're a really good thing to organize. And then we just have these really simple, I'm going to set it on our table. Lovely. Then we have these just simple folders. You can get the hanging file folders. You can do all of that stuff. You can choose, but these are really neat because you can actually, they just go right inside of here. They have the little tab up here so we can write what they're for. I had some ideas. I think what I had said to Shannon were some of the things that you can put up here, like subcategories. You can do schoolwork. You can do art. You can do holidays. You can specifically say Halloween. You can do insurance paperwork if you have ABA paperwork, if you have therapies. You can have miscellaneous and put whatever you want. Yeah. I also like photos, school photos, because I don't know about you, but I have all of these school photos in the envelopes, and they're all in one place. But this is somewhere where you could put all of them and have them organized. And oh wait, I need my kiddos' school photos. And the cool thing about these, you can do one and have a big subfolder for each child. Or, when we talk about the paperwork our kids accumulate, it's a lot, especially in those first 18 years in school years. Yeah. So one of these per kid, you could take a picture of them, and I call it self-lamination. You just take clear packing tape, and you just put it over the top, and it makes it laminate. You can put their picture, just so you have it. You can put their name, and that's something you can write their name, like block letters in their name, and have them color it. That way they're involved in it too, and they know where their paperwork is. It's just kind of fun.
And as they get older, the task could grow, because I envision, your child comes home and they've got the piece of paper or the award that they won that you want to make sure that you keep, and you say, oh, this is something that so let's get your box out. Yep. Let's put it in the file folder where it says, awards. Yep. And so that you're modeling organization for them in a really friendly way that's super fun. But you also wanted to decorate the folders.
Yes, I think that's so much fun. Real quick, you were talking about, this is another thing, it just popped in my head. I saw the neatest thing, and I wish I had this when Coby was little. I love art. I think we talked about that. I had every coloring book, everything, every crayon. Coby could give 2 thoughts about it. He did not care. I don't think he ever colored in one coloring book. When he was 7 or 8, he helped me do it. I had him use Sharpies on a wood project, it's like an Easter tree, and it was the one time I could get him, and because he wanted it to be perfect. I could care less. I was like, just scribble on a paper and I can put it in a frame.
Right.
I have the very few things that his one-on-one aides didn't do that I was like, oh, that's so sweet, but I can tell that you didn't even hand over hand. You literally just drew this flower. So I was like, please just let him do, even if it's a scribble and I don't know what it is, I know that it's his work. Anyways, but they have this frame that I saw on Amazon, and I need to find a link to it. But it's a frame that opens up, and then it has, when you go to put the kid's art in it, it just kind of presses in. Yeah. And every time you get something new, you can put that in. I just thought that was brilliant, because I know I have a friend who both of her kids draw, and they draw 27 pictures a day. Right. And you can only hang so much, but I love that you can rotate it. Yeah. And that's something that you can say, go to your box, get your art folder out, and you decide what you want to put in the frame this week,
I also, one of the things that we talked about was the idea that I loved, that I swear I'm going to do, I just haven't done it yet, but this would make it organized so that I could, is there was a mom on Oprah a million years ago who talked about keeping all the stuff in a file folder, and then at the end of the school year, over the summer break, taking a picture of each piece of artwork and sending it off to one of those services where they put it into a bound book.
Oh, right.
And then you feel like I have it all forever. Now you have it digitized. It's in your computer, so that if the worst thing happens, we've seen people go through floods and all kinds of things before. You have a copy of it. But now you've got a book you could get. Normally they'll have some sort of a deal, like buy one, get the second one free or half off or whatever. So you send one to one of the grandmas, whatever. But then you also can release I have bins of my child's artwork that need to be released into the atmosphere.
I just had an idea of something you could do with it. I've never seen it, but I think this would be kind of great. I mean, I've seen things where like I remember Coby, they had a thing where they drew a picture and then they put it on a greeting card and then you bought those cards. But why not for Christmas cards or holiday cards or Valentine's Day cards, whatever? What about just like June? We're going to send that we use their art, fold it in half and use that as a card.
Why not?
That would be brilliant. You write a little note on the back of it. It has their name. You've already taken a picture. And now you've released it into the world, but you send it to Grandma or Uncle Joe or Aunt Millie, whoever it is, I think that would be great too. Or even something like I was saying with the senior center, right? I hope you have a great day and take them to senior centers and drop off notes that they can pass out to their residents.
Absolutely.
I was looking,
Okay, so this is an example, not of Jem's artwork, but this is, there's a viewer who watches the show regularly that we love, and she takes your child's artwork and then puts it onto metal. And there's a process where
that is gorgeous.
Isn't that super fun? And it raises up the artwork so that it has a texture to it too.
It does.
And she did.
That would be great for visually impaired people too. So if someone if you have a sibling that's visually impaired, that's what it looks like. I kind of love that because then they could feel what it looks like. So if they, say you have a sibling that's visually impaired, you can draw a picture, have this done, and then your sibling can feel it.
And she can do this onto metal or she can do it onto plexiglass too. So she, for a gift from me, she asked me for a piece of Jem's artwork and he had drawn this snowman. And so she did it onto a metal sheet for us that we always display. But I think I have it at home.
I love that.
But I put this on the set because I like it.
That's amazing.
Well,
and so what we were talking about was on the front of these folders is so you put a subcategory. Let's say it's a holiday and you want to do Valentine's or you do holidays or cards. So we thought a way to just jazzy them up is thumbprint art. Something super simple. You just take a stamp pad. Shannon, can I see the red?
Yes, absolutely.
You just take a stamp pad and you have your folder. This is something you can do with your kiddos. You can have them just do whatever they want. I mean, not just your kiddos. I like to do it too. Yeah. But so you just take the folder. You can do something. Ooh, I'm just throwing things around.
Do it.
So you take it. You put one thumbprint down, and then you do another thumbprint. Oops. I'm going to try this a little bit better. And then you've got a heart. Is that hard to see?
No,
you can do it with your pointer finger too. Some kids, sensory-wise, this might be an issue because of the stamp, but it's really not that bad. But you can do things like hearts. There you go.
I love it.
So I figured, Shannon, you and I could decorate a couple folders.
Yeah.
However we want. And we have different colors here. So, we always have to be doing something, Shannon and I.
Yes.
We got to do.
We're not the kind of sit around.
No, we got to do something fun. All of that kind of stuff. So.
And then we should say, too, that you can add lines to the drawing later to make it all kinds of things.
And we'll show you. We'll do a few things. Okay, I'll show you, like line-wise. We'll do a little one, and I'll show you what you can do. You can do something. I'm going to do a few different ones. You can do, like, one of your hearts. After your heart, you can draw around it. So you've got your kiddos' fingerprints. I'm going to show you these in just a second. One that you can do is you can make, and it doesn't have to be a heart. It can be anything, but you can do a flower. So I have here, one of the balloons is a heart. I mean, one of the hearts is a balloon, and one is a flower. I'm going backwards. So you can do different things. You can draw with just black on them. There's one that, are you doing bees?
I'm doing bees.
Wait, you have to show them. It's so cute.
So I put black fingerprints. I don't know if you can see. And now I'm putting yellow stripes on them, and I'm going to put wings on them so that they make little bumblebees. And then I'm going to make flowers around the bumblebees.
Love that. The other thing you can do, and we're going to get dirty, and that's okay.
Yeah.
The other thing that you can do is you can take blue and you can do your thumb or different things, and you can do a bunch of blues and make a cloud. You can do two clouds together, and you can do, you can make a rainbow between them. Ooh, I'm making sounds. I have so much fun doing this kind of stuff because in some ways I didn't get to do it with Coby when he was younger. So the fact that I can do things like this now, I'm just making a mess today. The fact that we can do fun things like this now, and now he's funny because he'll sit and be like, "What you making, Mom? What you doing?" But you can do things like a cloud here. Oops, I'm backwards. Here's the cloud. Here's the heart balloon. The flower here. You can do petals. You can have them do orange in the middle and do petals. Or then you can actually go after and just do the different things. But there's so many fun things that you could make.
My bumblebees are kind of scary.
Oh, no, they're so cute.
But I'm going to draw some flowers on them. And I just wanted to show you that, like, it's easy enough to do this.
It's so easy. And the other thing is you can actually draw the black parts first. So you can do the outlines and then have them, if it's too hard, if, you know, they're not artsy, or you can draw some of those fun little things and then have them do their fingerprints. Or you can say, okay, what do we want to make this? I mean, literally, you can do anything.
And you know what makes it extra special, wonderful, is that it's your child's fingerprint.
Right.
Which I think is always super cute.
Well, and what I told Shannon is that what you can then do is right on the bottom here, I'm just going to do this, and you can do, I'm just going to do this age. Okay, so one of the things with the folders, because you're going to have these in there, is you can just write at the bottom your kiddo's name, the date, and then how old they are. So your name, 2023, age 6. So whoever that kiddo is, that's what they're going to put. And that's why you can also do this if you want one box, if you want one for each kiddo. Then you've got these kind of fun art folders that you're going to have. They're going to be 20. And if your kids move out or your kids go somewhere else, you can hand this box to them and say, take this with you.
Yeah.
You know, or you keep it, whatever you choose to do.
They're not going to want it, but you get to keep it.
Well, yeah. Some do. It's really funny.
No, it's when later on when they have kids that then
that's when they want.
So I put a pink flower.
I love that.
And it's, you know, it is what it is. But then it's decorated, right?
Yeah.
And it's something that your child can be doing with you, which is super duper fun.
I'm going to do the one, Shannon, that I was obsessed with. I don't know what it's called.
Okay.
Dandelion.
It's like
I just looked around.
Why is she blowing on me?
I just went, because I couldn't think of what it's called, the dandelion. So that's what I'm going to do.
And you could just, if you don't want to do stamp pads, or your child doesn't like the pushing their finger for whatever reason, you could just do this with markers.
Yep.
Or, you know what I love to do, and what I did a lot with Jem, is we would make stamps out of fruit. So we like a potato or an apple or a pear.
I love that.
And so I would cut a shape out. I would say to him, what shape do you want, like a heart or whatever, and I would cut it out of an apple, and then he could put it on a stamp pad or put it in paint, and then he would stamp.
You could do that in
all
potato
over.
too, right?
Exactly.
You know what I've seen that's really neat
What's
is
that?
if you take celery when you're done with celery. I'm all about reusing, and you cut down at the bottom, so like at the base, like there's the very bottom and the stalk comes up. If you cut here and you dip it in paint, it makes a beautiful flower, almost like a rose or a flower. They're really, that's a really good one
beautiful.
too.
That is
Oh,
beautiful.
I love that idea, Shannon.
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes, like, if you different things for different kids, but you can just put dots on a piece of paper and say, connect the dots.
Yes.
And then color in the different dots. There's all kinds of things that you can do with your kiddos. And then it feels like it's theirs.
Yep.
And it's always a memory. And I have to say that I find paperwork so aversive.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that can make it less aversive and say, oh, you know, that's a happy memory when I do
Yep.
it, and involve your kiddos in, it's really wonderful. So tell them what you've been doing there.
Okay, so what I did on this one is I just drew this little, I drew a dot, and then I did a bunch of like cross-section lines, and on each one, I just did a little U at the end. So it makes these little things, and I'm making a dandelion. So I'm going to do some blues around here, and then I'm going to do another color. Look, I'm not even looking. And then I'm going to do another color, and then it's going to be a dandelion. And this is something that you could do with thumbprint art-wise on a card.
Yep.
You know, grandmas, aunts, all those guys love. This is be a good one for a Mother's Day too.
Yep.
And we'll show you when it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. So super fun. And then,
Green, do you mind?
no, go right ahead. It won't show up on camera, but do it.
Oh, that's right.
It's okay. Do it.
I'll
It'll look-
do yellow instead.
There we go. But I think it's.
I
well,
did
it actually
yellow
looks
over
great.
the blue, and it's green.
That's okay. It might read. It
might.
depends on our green screen. But the reason why you want to have the paperwork all organized is because we don't have time.
No, we don't.
And whenever, I love there are organization experts who say every time you pick up a piece of paper or look for a piece of paper, that is precious time when you could have been doing, creating, being,
Yep.
Connecting. And so if you stop and think about in your life, how many times you've been asked for your child's IEP, or you need to look at it because there's a question that has to do with it.
And something from 5 years ago or 10 years ago that you go, oh, wait, there was this one, I need this information.
Yep. And having that all organized, you could even, because I do this with my tax papers when I'm organized, is that I have an accordion file that's the soft version of this, where from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, I put everything in it so that when it's time to sit down and do the taxes there, then I clear it all out, put it all together in one big manila envelope and put the year on it and file that away in a file cabinet in the garage and reuse it for the next year. And you could do that with this. And just know that now I know exactly where the papers are. They're in the file cabinet. And if I know what year it is, I can go and I can find the year.
Right.
And if it's something that goes year to year, like if it's the IEP and it's going to continue on to this year, then you keep it in the file folder.
Right.
You don't file it away. But, you know, for me, trying to find the IEP on a yearly basis was small.
So something like this is great because you can just, you know where everything is. You can even have one box that's just for IEPs. And you could do, 2023, 2022, and you could do addendums in each one of those. You could do emergency IEPs. You can do that fun little booklet that we all get that we don't read, that when we realized, Shannon and I were just talking the other day, how it was, well, why don't people know this information? And it's in there in the booklet.
And none of us read it.
None of us read it. So I was going to show you, this is what the dandelion looks like.
It's
done.
so cute.
So this is kind of a fun thing that you can do. And then you can go out and say, let's go to the park and pick dandelions and blow them. Yeah. Because that's my favorite thing to do. So.
Is it? That's wonderful. So, and you could decorate as many or as few. Like the other nice thing about this is if you do one and your kiddo is done, you go, that's all for today.
Done.
And you clean up and it's 2 seconds and it's not this epic art project.
And even though your fingers get dirty, it's not like paint.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's more, I mean, you do one fingerprint and you've got to stamp another. Yeah. So it's another fine motor thing that you can work on with your kiddos. But the reality is it's not, I mean, Coby, I'll never forget. I don't know how Jem was with face painting or anything like that. But we went to Disneyland and they had started doing the Dia de los Muertos. And they would face paint, they would do a little character, they would do something. And I was like, oh, Coby, I want, and it was so much fun. And I was like, oh, let's get he never wanted his face painted, but this was kind of just a little character or a little thing. Yeah. And we were someone else, with someone else on the spectrum and her brother. And I was so excited. He must have been maybe 12. And I said, let's get your face painted. And he was like, nope, I'm not going to do it. And I said, okay. And I said, well, can we get your arm painted? Let's get your arm painted. And he was like, okay. He totally humored me, got his arm painted. It was like a little skeleton, Dia de los Muertos, really cute. That's awesome. And then, but the whole time he was having it done, I swear to you, it was like I made him get a tattoo. Yeah. And he was in the, I think I had to have a video and I said, it looks like he's in surgery because he's literally like, and if at any time I knew that it was bad to the point where it was hurting him. I mean, you could see that he was doing it. And sometimes we have to push our kids.
Yes.
And it wasn't something that was like physically hurting him and he wasn't going over the end and tantruming, but you could just see it was like, so as soon as it was done, he was like, thank you. And then he looked at me and he said, all done. All done. So I took a wipe and I actually wiped it and it came up and it looked exactly like it. So he carried around that wipe.
Oh, that's hilarious.
He was like, here's my face painting.
I love it.
But, some of our kids, even just having that little bit of color. But the good thing about that is it's not painty. It's not going to get on anything. Yeah. Yes, are my fingers, all the colors right now? I mean, I kind of love that. I feel like I've done stuff. But it doesn't, it's not as sensory based. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, Jem, the funny thing is, because I used to do face painting,
I did too. We're so funny, things that we're two peas in a pod.
I know. And sisters from another mother.
I know.
So I would do face painting, and I was the aunt that everybody, all of my nieces and nephews are like, can you come to my birthday party and do face painting? Or just, they would come over and visit, and they'd be like, can you make me into a puppy dog? Or my niece who was like, can you make me look like I've been in a fist fight and I've got a black eye? And yes, I can do that for you. And I would do all that. Jem wanted nothing to do with it, except that he wanted to watch me do it.
Oh.
He was like, oh, make them into a dog. dog, and when at school, when there would be something, he would say, oh, my mom will do face painting. That's how I got my purse stolen, was that at his Christmas concert, I was doing face painting, and while I was doing face painting, somebody stole my purse. I'm talking, that's a heartless person.
That is a heartless person.
It was Christmas.
I did the butterfly. So I used just watercolors too. So it wasn't anything that would, it wasn't face paint. It was just watercolors because you could make it as thick or as thin as you want. Yeah. And it just came off really easy. So I would do the antennas and then these beautiful butterflies. So cool. All the girls that I would nanny or babysit would be like, can you make me a beautiful butterfly? And I was like, of course.
That's wonderful.
So, and I had some kids that, we'd go to baseball games or go to some of their siblings' games or events, and they'd be like, well, where did you come from? And they said, home. I was at home. And I was like, oh, yeah. So then I taught myself to face paint. I mean, not taught myself, but, the puppy, all those different things. And then also balloon animals.
Me too.
It's so funny.
My
favorite, what was your, did you have a hardest or a favorite thing to make?
I never got good at anything. I did rudimentary, right? So I can make a sword, and I can make a dog, and I can make a flower.
Okay,
That's
so
and a hat.
A hat. Okay, hat. I could do a teddy bear, and I could do a motorcycle.
Gosh, of course.
The motorcycle.
A motorcycle.
Like,
for heaven's sake.
That's what we should do in one episode. We'll just,
yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh. And at the time, they didn't have one of those things that like blew it up by itself. So I would sit there and, which those are the hardest balloons to blow up.
They are the hardest. Just yesterday, I was unpacking because we're still moving in here, and I had something in my car, and it had files. And so there was a bag with files.
This is why, files.
And I brought the bag with the files in, and I was taking stuff out, and it was hilarious because it was stuff from our old office that had been put away, so it was files and 2 balloon blower upper things.
Those are my favorite.
And they were making fun of me. They were like, yes, because you always have to have, and I pulled one out, and Sarah was saying, I can see why that was in there. I was like, wait, there's 2. Yeah.
Okay, so this week, I did another cooking segment. And I'm not sure if I can call this cooking segment. If I don't use heat and actually cook and just prep it, is it a prepping segment? What do you call it?
I really don't think that we need to overthink it.
I overthink all the things. So,
but we should take a look at that right now.
Yes.
Because earlier in the week, I had mentioned that we did a thing about how to make the morning less stressful. And it's a great breakfast way, but this could be any time of the day.
So this is overnight oats. And I'm going to talk a little bit after and add some stuff that I didn't talk about in the video.
So take a look, you guys.
Hi, friends. Welcome back to Small Kitchen Big Flavor via Let's Talk All the Things with Rachael and Shannon via Autism Network and Autism Live. I decided that we're just going to do a super simple recipe. I know a lot of people do overnight oats and chia seed pudding and all that kind of stuff. So I just kind of wanted to show you sometimes you just want to throw something together really quick, something that you can have multiple decisions for, that your kiddos can join in on. It's super easy. We're going to do overnight oats and show you some of the toppings that you could put. Just something fun and easy. You put it in your icebox or your refrigerator overnight and it's ready in the morning. You can warm it up if you like it warm, or you could just leave it exactly the way it is because it's in a mason jar, or you can put it in a jar if you don't want glass. You can put it in any kind of Tupperware container or a little small Tupperware or something like that you can use. So we're just going to go through a few of them, parts of the recipe, some of the toppings you can do. We have some of the ingredients over here. So I'm going to walk you through some of those ingredients. Alrighty, so some of the ingredients that we have, it's really simple. We're just going to use oats. We're going to use milk. You can use almond milk, cashew milk. This is a cashew milk that I made. You can use regular milk if you do regular milk. I use a gluten-free Bob's Red Mill Oats. And then I have toppings. The basic things that you're going to put are going to be oats, milk, a little bit of vanilla, and also some kind of a sweetener. I have agave. And then you can add things like chia seeds and flax seeds and berries and bananas, coconut, strawberries. I like to do dates. One of the things, I keep Medjool dates. They don't expire. So I keep them in my refrigerator. They get hard and I put them in hot water and they loosen up. You can add cinnamon. Back here I have some currants. Oh no, those are strawberries. And then these are currants. So these are all things that you can add as toppings. So if this is something you want to do with your kiddos, you can do that super easy. And let's go ahead and start doing the recipe. Alrighty, we're back. I'm going to try this new thing. I have two hands. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take some oats, and with the oats, we're going to do half a cup of oats. Now, any of these recipes that I do on here, you'll be able to get on Small Kitchen Big Flavor. I'll link it for you. I'm going to do all three of these jars. So you're just going to pour half a cup of oats. It's okay to be messy. This is something that you can work on with your kiddos if you're needing to work on measuring. The great thing about this recipe is it's not a perfect recipe. It doesn't have to be exactly what you're doing because you can kind of put whatever you want. The base of the recipe is half a cup of oats, half a cup of milk. I've just spilled oats everywhere. So we did some oats, half a cup of oats. Now we're going to do half a cup of milk, and this is some almond milk that I make. You can use any kind of plant-based milk. I do plant-based because Coby is gluten-free and dairy-free. You can choose to do whatever you want, though. The great thing about this recipe, you basically just put it together, and then you're going to shake it up, put your toppings in, and put it in your refrigerator overnight. So right now we've already used our oats and our our cashew milk. I'm going to close these oats. One thing that I taught my son is that, everything as you're cooking goes back where it goes. Makes it easier, makes it faster. Okay, so half a cup of oats, half a cup of the milk that you choose. If you choose to put a little bit of cinnamon, you can do that. I like to put cinnamon because cinnamon helps your metabolism. So we do that. I'm going to choose to do some chia seeds in one of them, I think. Let's do some chia seeds. And I have a long spoon. This is one of those old milkshake spoons that I had when I was growing up, when I super love it. I just eyeball what I'm going to put in. I'm going to do chia seeds in one. The great thing about chia seeds is once they get in the liquid, they expand, which is, it fills your tummy. Let's do flaxseed in one. I have some flaxseed. We'll do that. I sometimes will put hemp hearts, different things. It's up to you. And the other one we're going to leave. Actually, I always like to put, or sometimes I have hemp hearts. Actually, let's do that. I'm going to grab some hemp hearts out. Here's some hemp hearts. They're super good for you. So the great thing about this recipe is you can just put a little bit of everything, and there's no eyeballing it. I like to do about a teaspoon of the different things that we have. So we have one with hemp hearts, one with flaxseed, and one with our chia seeds. So now that we have our 3 cups here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a tiny bit of agave. A drizzle here, a drizzle there. Some people say a teaspoon, a little teaspoon. I don't like to make them too sweet because I want the sweetness to come from whatever we put in it. The berries, the agave, not the agave, I'm sorry. The berries and the bananas and the coconut. The other thing is, you guys know if you've done my recipes, I love some vanilla. And I actually do about a quarter of a teaspoon. Sometimes I like to put more if I'm doing a little bit more. Just that vanilla is so good. It gives it such a great flavor. I should do a recipe. I've been wanting to make my own vanilla. So maybe that's something you can do with me. Okay. So now that's a little bit of vanilla. You can measure that vanilla. You don't have to, but there we go. That's our vanilla. So now that we've got everything in these cups, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the lids on and I'm going to shake. Now, it doesn't look like a lot in there. You can do a cup if you want. I like to do a little because I like the oats will expand in the milk. And see, it doesn't look like a lot, but I like it to be some oats and some berries. And then what we're going to do with each one of these is we're just going to shake them up. Okay, you're going to shake them up so it's nice and mixed, and you're just going to set it down. Next one, let's shake it up. Okay, and last one, let's shake that up. Okay, so there we go. Now let's open those back up. I like to keep the lids with each one because it kind of stays with what toppings you have in that. And the great thing, this is the fun part. This is when you get to just put whatever you want to put in. So I like to put some bananas sometimes. So this one's going to be bananas. Well, let's do bananas and coconut. That sounds so good. So bananas and coconut. This one's going to be berries. Let's do some berries in there. And the last one's going to be berries too. No, I think that one's just going to have a lot of berries. I always like to throw in extra berries because it's kind of fun. And then strawberries. You can, I don't know how you like to do your strawberries. I like to cut my strawberries kind of like this. I'll show you. I like to take a strawberry, cut it down the middle, and just do little pieces like this. And then you've got kind of quartered, or more than quartered, eighths of strawberry. I think let's do in the bananas. Let's do some strawberries too. It's so good. It's so easy to do. So let's do in this last one that I have. Let's add in this one. Let's do some of the cranberries, the dried cranberries. And let's add some more banana in that one. So dried cranberries. Let's do some banana. Okay. Ooh, that's going to be super good. And I think, let's put a little bit more cinnamon in that one. That sounds super yummy. So, these are our oats. We have our toppings. We are not going to shake them up again. You're literally just going to put this in the ice box, just like that, or the refrigerator, just like that. You've already shooken them up. You already shooken them up. You already shook them up. And then these are our oats. And tomorrow morning, you'll have an amazing breakfast. What's so great about these oats is that we're just going to put these right in our ice box, and then tomorrow they'll be ready to eat. I sometimes like to do this with a hard-boiled egg, not inside of it, but next to it, so I have a little protein with this. It looks like it's not a lot, but when that stuff starts to expand and the milk is absorbed, the other thing, if it seems too dry, you can add a little bit of more milk in the morning and you mix it up. You can also take this and warm it. What I like to do is I like to cut up some green apples with cinnamon, put them in it, just like we did. You just kind of chop up some apple, put it in it, and then warm that up in the morning, and the apple gets a little soft, and it's kind of like a I would say like an apple pie taste with that apple and cinnamon. So here's our oats. Small Kitchen, Big Flavor. It's so great seeing you and talking to you. I don't know about you. Is anybody missing Christmas? I'm super, super missing Christmas. It kind of makes me sad. I'm kind of missing it. But it's Valentine season. We're getting into spring soon. And if you have any things that you want to, if you have questions about what I have in my kitchen, what are the things I cook on a daily basis, what are the things that I might have always in my fridge, go ahead and write in and ask, because I'd love to share those things with you. If there's any recipes or any ideas that you have and you want to share that with me, and maybe you want to send me a recipe, and my next segment for Small Kitchen, Big Flavor is me doing a segment of your recipe, or even taking a recipe that's an everyday recipe and making it gluten-free, dairy-free, I can do that as well. Anything that I cook or I share with you is going to be on my Small Kitchen Big Flavor on Instagram. So it's at Small Kitchen Big Flavor, because I am in a small kitchen. It is an apartment kitchen. It's where I cook all of my meals. I've done it for the last 17 years. I've made this an efficient place. You can cook anywhere. You can cook in a trailer, an RV, a mansion, an apartment, a house. You can cook anywhere. You can cook over a fire. So I just want you guys to know you guys can take anything, simple ingredients, and make them into something fabulous. Okay? Have a great day, all.
All right.
So a few of the things that I didn't talk about in the video. One of the things is when I used agave as a sweetener. You can use agave, maple syrup. You can use brown sugar if you want, or stevia. You can use, there was
honey.
Honey, thank you. I actually use raw honey at home. You can use honey. Honey makes it not vegan. That's why I started. We're not vegan, but I know some people are vegan. Yeah. The honey is great. If you want to use something like, what's the one that's derived from mint? Spirulina? I should probably look that up.
I'm not sure that I know what you're talking about.
There is a sweetener that's derived from mint.
It's not the stevia.
Maybe.
I don't know.
There's
never knew that.
There's something called like spiritulia, and maybe I'm so wrong. Let's next show I will Google and come back.
I didn't know that. And it's derived from mint?
Yes, I think.
I never knew
This is like a dream? Okay.
No.
But some of the other things about the overnight oats is you can add more milk if you want. So basically the recipe is half a cup of oats, half a cup of milk. I used cashew nut milk. You can use any milk. You can use oat milk, coconut milk. You can also use water if you wanted to. It doesn't taste as good. And then you can do any topping that you want. So we had bananas and berries and coconut, medjool dates, nuts. You can put nuts. You can make a theme of it. You can do something. The great thing is you can just make them and then have your kiddos put what they want.
Yeah.
I use in my kitchen, one of the tips that I have is I either use surgeon's tape or painter's tape on my containers because they come off really easy. And it's super easy to, label things so you can put their name and they know that they put berries or whatever they want.
Yeah.
I usually do that with, like this morning, Coby had that with a hard-boiled egg.
There
A
we
little
go.
protein, a little oats, and super yummy.
So you were saying in the video that you would take requests, and I was sitting there
Yes.
watching the video, and I was like, well, I want to know how to do the nut milk. Because I have a recipe for the nut milk, and I'm not wild about it, but I would love to know how you do it, because you do it all the time, so it must be easier than what I'm doing.
Well, I do have a little machine that it's called the almond cow. And it's a machine. It's not really a machine. It's just basically a base. I mean, it is a machine. It looks like a
like
kettle.
You plug it in?
Yeah, it looks like a kettle.
Oh, for corn's sake, Ethel.
Yes, it
The
looks
things I don't know about.
Yes, it looks like a kettle, and I fill it. There's a minimum and a maximum line. You fill it with water,
Okay.
and then there's a little collector basket, and I put 1 cup of almonds, 1 cup or cashew, 1 cup of coconut, 1 cup of rice. You can do anything in there,
Okay.
or you can also do half almond, half cashew. I like cashew milk the best because it's the creamiest.
Yeah.
So I just fill. There's a little line actually that's 1 cup of the nut, and then I take a dash of vanilla, and then I take 1 medjool date. And like I said in the video, dates don't expire.
I didn't know that either.
Yes.
Do you know how many
Honey
dates
doesn't
I've thrown
either.
away?
Honey doesn't either. And so what I do is I keep my dates in the icebox. You don't have to, but I keep my
But they
dates.
get kind of hard and crunchy,
Yes,
and I
and
thought
so
that was
what
them
you
expiring.
So what you do is I have a little small bowl that I fill with hot water and I stick the date in and it rehydrates it basically.
I did not know
But
this.
that's one thing. Honey and dates don't, I mean, obviously if it's like moldy and funky, you don't want to eat it.
Right.
But when they get hard, that's just,
I thought that was them being done.
no, you can literally put it in water and it just reconstitutes it
When
in a
I
sense.
think of the organic medjool dates I have pitched and sent to the landfill because I did not know.
Yes.
Okay,
So
so
then
you
I
put
put
the date in
the
it.
so it's basically they say you can put salt, and they say the salt is to preserve it a little bit, but we're salt sensitive, so I don't use salt in it. So literally, it's 1 cup of cashews, 1 medjool date, and a splash of vanilla. And I always throw some in extra. And then you put this little. There's like a basket that you hook on this.
Yeah.
It's like a little. I'm trying to think of what it is. I wish I had pictures. And then you just push the button on top, and in 1 minute it makes the milk. It blends it, and it goes. It goes.
Wait,
and it stops. Stops. You don't soak the nuts. You don't do anything.
Shut up.
And then you can take after you like pull it out, and it's all milk in this collector cup. I'm gonna FaceTime you tonight and show you.
What?
It's called the almond cow, and it is one of the best things I've ever had. I have jars of my nuts. You can actually order from Almond Cow. You can order their nuts because they like the almonds are bee-free almonds, which I didn't even know that was a thing. But they're raw bee-free almonds. They have. That's where I got my like when you buy. As a bundle, you can buy a bundle. You don't have to, but they have all the recipes. So you go on almondcow.com if you want to do chocolate milk, if you want to do raspberry and lemonade. Then what you can do is you take the meal that's left in that basket. So basically, once you pull it out and it's the milk,
Right.
you have this. And I'm trying to think. They call it pulp. The pulp.
Yeah.
They have all these recipes for the pulp. Crackers and breads and muffins and different things that you could use. You can put the pulp in a little mason jar, and I love a mason jar. And you can put it in your ice box for a day or two, or you can even freeze it if you want. And then you use that pulp to bake stuff, which is lovely.
Does anybody else feel like they just stepped into an alternate universe where you're like, what? Because I pictured, can I tell you how I make milk? And this is why I don't
Do you
make
do
the
the like?
milk. Okay, so first I have to boil water. I take the cashews and rinse them off. I boil water, then I soak the cashews overnight, which means you got a bowl and a plate, and it's in the refrigerator and probably going to make a mess because somebody's going to pull it
Open
out,
it
and
out,
then it's
yep.
going to go everywhere, right? And then I take the cashews and I drain that water off, put it into the blender, and I've gone through 2 blenders doing this. And you put it in the blender, and then you take a little more fresh water, and it's always mealy, and it
No.
never. If I had stop.
The almond cow will change your life, to be honest, because I've done that. I've done where you take the cheesecloth and you squeeze.
And that's the other thing. Then you got to do the
pour it through the
cheesecloth.
cheesecloth and squeeze it all out. This thing, literally, you push a button on the top. Like, this is literally not an ad for Almond Cow, but I will.
I'm like,
be your
how are
sponsor.
you not their spokesperson?
I will be your sponsor. I actually have a video. I'll have to show you.
Shut
I have
up.
a video of myself how I make my almond cow milk, because it is, and I do, like I said, usually I do an almond and a cashew at the same time, but I realize that we like the cashew more because it's a little creamier.
Yeah.
What I love about it is you don't soak it. And honestly, I bought from Amazon, I bought like a 3-pound bag of cashews,
Yeah.
raw cashew pieces.
Yeah.
It's like $30 maybe.
Yeah.
And it will take me a couple months to go through that. And I make it every couple of days. And it's great. Coby uses it for cereal. I use it for all of my baking, anything that calls for milk. I use the cashew milk. Like I said, I go between the two, but I've really started just doing the cashew milk more because I love it so much. And it's just my favorite thing. It's so easy. It's easy to wash. It's easy to clean.
Wow.
So Almond Cow, I love you.
They're going to love you back, for heaven's sake.
Yeah.
Make her your spokesperson, you guys. But the other question I had from watching the video, because you said you're making your own vanilla.
So this is something I did once, and I need to do it again.
the heck?
You can do it a few ways, but typically you put vanilla in vodka and you let it sit, and the vodka goes away. It sounds weird, but it's like the alcohol leaves it because you end up boiling it.
I see.
But I need to do another. I was going to do that 2 years ago for Christmas and give everybody vanilla.
Oh, yeah.
But that's something that we should do, is like something fun. But
Yeah.
I love
That's
that.
very fun. Well, and I always get the one that's bourbon vanilla.
Oh yeah,
so I
you can do
guess
bourbon,
soak
you can
it
do
in
whiskey,
bourbon.
you can do all the different ones.
Okay,
Yeah.
but we should soak it in something that's gluten free.
Yeah,
Clearly.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
yeah.
I had a friend who was always making limoncello in her closet.
I'm a limoncello fan. Yeah.
Because here in Southern California, we have a bunch.
That sounds like something I would do, though. Shannon would call me and be like, "What you doing?" I'd be like, "I just put some limoncello in my closet."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what she would say. And I was like, what? First of all, I was like, what's limoncello? I didn't know. And she was like, what do you mean you don't know? And, but you know, and I was like, I didn't realize you could do these things. And I came from a household where every August we would go and get a lug of peaches and a lug of tomatoes and we would can them. Like I'm from a family where we, did and make pickles every
I just
fall.
got to harvest from your yard, and I made fried green tomatoes.
There we go.
I am going to make, tonight I'm actually going to make butternut squash soup, like
That's
all
awesome.
these amazing,
I started, I always had a garden, well, when I can have a garden, right? When I've had room for a garden. And then we moved to the house that we're in right now, and it really didn't lend itself to gardening. There's no backyard whatsoever. It's just a deck in the backyard. That's it. And the front yard, it's not a very big front yard, and it's where people go, and there was no gardening. And it was fine because I was like, Gems in high school, and for the next 4 years, I really need to focus. I wanted to get my book done, and I was like, I don't have time to garden. I'll have like a couple of herbs in our little window, and it'll be fine. Then the pandemic came, and I was like, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. There's no way. I need gardening for my soul. I was thinking about this the other day, that you know how you say, like, you have to put your feet in water. You have to be at the coast. You have to be near water. I have to garden. I have to be growing something. I don't have to eat something from it. I don't have to, but I prefer to grow vegetables than flowers. I don't know why.
I love that. I think every front yard should be vegetables. I think that, like, there's someone in LA that did that.
Yes.
He did everything, and he did even the on the other side of his sidewalk where it's just the grass.
Yes.
He planted tomatoes and beans, and he planted all fruit trees, and the city came back and said no, because he was saying, come by, pick the vegetables. He was saying, especially people who are having, who are houseless people or people that don't have food, come to my yard, pick it. I don't care. I grow it for that reason. Yeah. And the city came back and said, nope, you can't do it, because he did it in an urban area. Yeah. And then the city finally came back, and he ended up getting awards because they were like, he's feeding the homeless, he's feeding Z people, families. He would be like, here, come and harvest my kale,
Yeah. Oh, talk about kale. Because the place where I get my seeds from, it's Baker Heirloom Seeds, not to do another commercial because they're not sponsoring us either, but they're heirloom seeds, they're organic, and you just get the funkiest varieties of things, and it's super cool. And every time you put it in order, they give you one free package of seeds. So when we started in the pandemic the first year, I ordered some, I dug up in our front yard a strip right along the fence, and one neighbor came over because it looked like it was like the width of,
I
of
still
a
die
casket.
about this thing.
They thought that we were burying someone.
But the neighborhood sent someone to like check and make sure she wasn't burying Jim in the front yard.
Yes.
Which
Which
just
is
to
hilarious.
me is
hilarious.
hysterical.
But anyway, and I said, no, I'm going to grow squash and I'm going to grow corn and all this different stuff. So, but then there was the free package of, it was Icelandic red kale was what it was. And I was like, okay, I don't even like kale. I love every vegetable and I love the way kale looks, but I can't process it. I don't love it. And I feel bad saying that, like I'm going to offend it or whatever. But anyway, I planted it. I planted it as a row barrier, right? And we had a kale farm.
We were in
It was
Canada. I wish
insane.
she'd say, I have so much kale. I wish you were here. Didn't you just take it and leave it on people's front steps?
I did, as like a joke. I terrorized one of my friends where I mean like a bushel basket of kale and left it on her front step because she won't waste anything. And she was
But
like,
can we
what am I
talk
going to do
about
with all this kale?
The stuff that you plant. She did the squash arch. You guys,
The epic
It was like, it still is, it's brilliant. I love it.
Well, there's no squash left on it right now.
No,
Now
I just
it's-
took them.
Yeah, well, and because they're done for the year. But I'm about to plant more squash. But I bought a cheap trellis because they were growing everywhere. You know what I did was I buried some full squash in the yard because my dog was digging a hole, and I was like, I got to fill it with something, and I don't want to just fill it with dirt. And I had these squash that had sat around too long and were leaking. You know how that goes. And so I buried them, and of course they grew insane. And when you plant something like that, it's so hardy, like you can't kill it, which is amazing. And they call them volunteers, that they just grew kind of on their own. But and it was growing all over the lawn, and I was like, well, why don't I just put an arch there? But then there was so many squash. We were due to have Jem's birthday party. There was so many squash. It was a cheap trellis that I bought. And the day before the party, the whole thing collapsed. And then it took me like a week to get this.
I think
cow
I
pen
came to the
thing.
house and went, oh, what
Yes,
happened to the
you were the
squash
one
arch?
that discovered it.
And I think it was Jim, and he was like, I don't know. And then I said, oh, your poor squash arch. And you said, what are you talking about?
And I came running home.
And I was like, I'm so sorry, but
And-
it was gorgeous.
And I was like, it's the squashopolis. But then I put in a cow panel. I got serious. Like, this thing is impervious
It's
to
so
everything.
cool.
It's serious. But I was also
Are you going to grow on it again? Or are you going
Oh,
to see?
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. But in the meantime, I had planted these brown-eyed Susans, which didn't do anything the first year. They look like little yellow daisies that have a brown center. And they said we have a dead tree, and I wanted it to climb up the tree. Well, I planted them the first year, and nothing happened. And I went, like they grew like 2 inches, and then they died. And I went, whatever, what a waste of time.
They didn't volunteer anything.
And
Yeah.
but then later on, I read, and it said, that's what it'll do in the first year, and in the second year, they'll grow like gangbusters, and in the third year and the fourth year, it'll be great gardens, and you have to cut your way out. Is basically what they say.
Really?
So now that's what's over half of the arch. That
I don't think I realized that.
it's like
yeah.
a thick carpet of these green flowers that then green petals, and then it has yellow flowers when and it's starting to bud again because we had all that rain. So I'm hoping there's room for the squash to grow over the brown-eyed Susans. I don't know whether there'll be a war or what. But and I got some seeds the other day.
I'm so excited to know what we're going to harvest,
I'm
Shannon.
gonna do, and I made the two of you come over. I made Rachel and Coby come over because sometimes I don't want to eat what's in the garden. I'm like over it or whatever, and I was like, I don't want to just throw it away. At the height of the pandemic, we had purple beans. It was 8 feet tall, that whole length, and the kale was growing at the bottom.
So fun.
And there were so many green beans, and we'd given them away to everybody we could think. They were purple beans, but when you would cook them, they would turn green. And we took them to, we called around to all of the food places. There was only one food place that would take excess garden stuff. They loved them, and we were bringing Trader Joe's shopping bags full.
They probably would have liked the
of
kale
green
too,
beans.
huh?
I did give them some of the kale, but then eventually I cut the kale. I was like, I can't run a kale farm because you can't give that stuff away.
No. And like for me, I was so excited to have green tomatoes because Coby knows I love a fried green tomato. I just have never made him them for some reason. I had made them gluten-free, or I'd made them and he just wasn't, I think maybe he wasn't eating green at the time because that is very recent. And at Disneyland, there's a place called Hungry Bear, and they had my very favorite fried green tomato sandwich, and it's so good. but it's only summertime when they have that, and it's seasonal.
Because
and they don't-
usually that's the only time you have them.
and they don't have it every year. And
Yeah.
they had one last year that was so good. And we were talking about it with a friend the weekend before we were coming to harvest. And so I made on the, what's the gluten-free bread that we get? The
Canyon Bakehouse.
Canyon Bakehouse Hawaiian
Yes.
bread, which is, again, we're sponsoring all the things today. We're just talking about everybody, like, we
It's
love
the
your products.
best.
But
It's
they're,
the
oh my gosh,
best.
it's so good. So I did Hawaiian bread with thick cut bacon and then some fried green tomatoes that were gluten-free, dairy-free. And they were the best sandwich. I made Coby 2, and he was just beyond, he was like beside himself. He was beyond happy. He was like, Mom, now I know why you love fried green tomatoes. So
That's
it was
amazing.
super yummy.
And I was sort of surprised because I went to pull all my tomato plants up because, at a certain point, I don't know. I mean, we're in Southern California, but I don't think that they overwinter well, and they get very viney, and they don't have a lot of support at the bottom. So I went to pull them all up.
You do have to pull them out and start them again.
I mean,
yeah.
I think so.
My mom always did that.
I think that's what most people do. And I think if you want a big, but I still had so many yellow tomatoes, and I had all these green tomatoes on it. And I said, Rachel, you said something about the green tomatoes. Do you want them?
Oh my gosh. I will always take a green. Now that I know Coby will eat them too.
Yeah. Well, and you turn everything into magic. And you left some Toronto cookies for Jem, and he loved them. He absolutely loved them.
Toronto cookies are a cookie that I made. I will not give the recipe to anybody. I've given it to one person, and the rest that will go to my grave. It will pass down to someone in my will.
There we go.
But it is a chocolate chip oatmeal peanut butter cookie that I made
and it's
in
gluten-free,
Toronto.
dairy-free,
Gluten-free,
kids.
dairy-free. I can make them vegan if I don't put egg. But I made them for all the cast and crew of Lock and Key. I made them for a lot of people. When I posted a picture of myself, I just posted them on a cookie sheet on Instagram on my private account, and so many people were like, are those Toronto cookies? I need the recipe. Those are my favorite. I need some. And I was like, I can send some to you, but I'm not going to give you the recipe. I mean, they're few and far between that I would give the recipe to, because it was something that I made up.
Yeah.
And it's really yummy. And I say, like, the people who are like, no, I don't want it, it's gluten-free. I'm like, you wouldn't know. I made 10 batches one weekend. It was over, it was like 900 cookies. And I individually bagged like 3 or 4 each and gave them to everybody in the crew.
It's crazy.
Literally, our condo was just, I had all the ingredients lined up.
It was a cookie factory.
It was a cookie factory, and it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
That is great. At some point, you have to go online and market those.
Yes,
so that people
I
can
do
order
want
them.
to.
Yeah, because they're absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
But she can make all kinds of things. Years ago, when I was growing spaghetti squash in my backyard, and I had made one of those graduated planters, and I put in like one spaghetti squash plant. I didn't really understand that spaghetti squash vines.
Right.
And it vined its way up. It's a big thing with my husband and I that I have a porch swing. Because that was the thing. Oh, I'm going to get emotional.
Again, here we go again. Porch swings, because that was
Oh, really?
I have a thing for porch swings.
I needed a porch swing because that was the thing that I wanted to sit on with Jem, that I pictured. And, I did a one-woman show at one point, and it talks about the first time that I met somebody who was on the spectrum was on my mom's porch swing. It was important to me. It's just one of those things, through your life. And so for a long time, we were in condos and things that couldn't have a porch swing. And so the first time that we were someplace renting where I could have a porch swing, Jim bought me a porch swing. But here comes the spaghetti squash, and it vined its way up the thing of the porch swing and onto the canopy of the porch swing. And it was just depositing its baby squashes on the top of the porch swing. And I was like, well, this is brilliant. Everyone should have spaghetti squash
on the
porch swing. But then they got so heavy that they ripped the fabric.
No.
And I was like, I got to start giving these suckers away. And I was around you that day, and I was like, can I give you some spaghetti squash to take off my hands? And you were like, what? Of course, yes.
I will take all the things. I love it.
And then that night, I was seeing on Facebook pictures of the spaghetti squash, and you'd made some crazy dish that
I made a chicken enchilada spaghetti squash,
which I would never think to do.
It's so good. So instead, a lot of people will do like a spaghetti squash bake where they do marinara and then like a meat sauce, and then they cover it with cheese and bake it. But I did one where you do an enchilada sauce, like an adobo enchilada sauce, and then you can shred chicken, or you don't even have to do a meat. And I did some dairy-free cheese. Now I'm obsessed with chow. Again, here's all the things I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Chow is my favorite for a melty cheese, or it's just creamy and good and
Yeah, it's
yummy.
good
I
stuff.
also like pro-life.
I like the chow slices.
Yeah, see, I like the pro-life choices. Bio-life, not pro-life.
Oh,
That was a
yes,
weird thing.
BioLife, yeah.
The Bio-life, that stuff.
Yeah.
They have a smoked provolone. They have a cheddar.
Oh,
The cheddar,
stop.
oh my gosh, that's so good. I have now become dairy-free,
Yes.
which breaks my heart because
Yeah.
I am a cheeseaholic. The day that there is a dairy-free brie, I will be a happy
I'm sure
happy
there is.
camper.
I'm sure there is. Somebody's got it.
Yeah.
Write to us and tell us if you know
Yes,
what that is.
please.
This has turned into the let's talk all the foodie things. But we did talk about organization, and that's important.
That's the
but,
point. With us, it's just not, it's just we have no theme. We're just us.
Yes. All right. We have a couple of minutes left here, just a couple of minutes. So, it won't be next week, but it'll be the week after that we're doing Let's Talk Movies. But I always like to ask, what have you watched lately that you absolutely loved?
Coby and I just watched Severance.
Yeah.
That was intense. It's Apple Plus, and it is about, and it's a controversial thing in the show that you sever. There's something that you sever. They implant something in your brain, and you sever from your work life to your home life. So your work person doesn't remember. So your work person is your innie, and your home person is your outie, which I think is hysterical. And your innie and outie don't cross. So your innie doesn't have any idea what your outie is. Like, you don't know if you have kids. You don't know your name.
You just work.
You just work. And then you get in this elevator and you come out, and then you're your outie, and you have no idea what you've done in work all day.
Yeah.
And it is an interesting, kind of sinister. It's really good. I just watched the Pamela Anderson documentary. I didn't know the story, and I feel very sad for her.
Oh, interesting.
It was a very interesting. I started watching documentaries. I watched another one. I've just been watching because I feel like I finished Netflix. I'm waiting for You to come out. I'm waiting for Love Is Blind reunion to come out because I love all those. You know, it just takes me out of my own reality. What have you been watching?
And
The Last of Us.
Oh, The Last.
The Last of Us. If you have not seen that show, it's not a zombie show. It's not Walking Dead. Episode 3 of Last of Us is one of the most beautiful love stories I've ever seen in my life. I sobbed for what felt like days. I mean, I was broken, but it was gorgeous, and it's one of my very favorite episodes I've ever seen in TV.
I think that I said that I thought that was probably the best hour of television ever, for a lot of different reasons.
So many reasons.
But I do. I think, and the more I went back over it, the more I was like, this is really brilliant. And I've already said they should just mail Nick Offerman an Emmy and then give him time to accept it during the Emmy thing. But if he doesn't win an Emmy, something's horribly wrong.
It was
so I love it.
phenomenal.
And I had said, I saw the ads for it, and I said, yeah, I want to watch that. And my husband was like, who are you and what have you done with Shannon? Because I didn't watch The Walking Dead. And I reminded him, though, that I watched whatever the sequel to Walking Dead was, the one where you got to see how it happened. Yeah. And I said, remember, I watched that for the first full season before I'm out. I totally enjoy watching when everything goes off the rails and, something happens that changes life, because I want to see how people deal with it, but I don't want to see them long-term deal with it.
Right.
I'm not interested in that. So I said, I'll watch The Last of Us, and I'll last like 3, by episode 4, I'm going to be out, and I'm not. And I even thought after watching episode 3, I thought, what are they going to do in episode 4? Because I don't know that I'm going to hang.
Well, and episode
it's so
4
good.
it
was so good.
But I was thinking, episode 4 is going to come out with a bang, and it wasn't. It was very
so smart,
mellow, but so good, and so
and they introduced new characters, and I love the actress who's playing the new character. I can't think what the character's name is or what her name is, but I loved her on Togetherness.
I call her Caillou's mom. She always is. She's an actress that's been in everything. She's one of those actresses that you see her and you might not necessarily know her name, but she's been in so many movies that you love and you can name them. But I don't know if you know about The Last of Us, which is also on HBO Max. No,
it's on HBO and HBO Max.
HBO Max. But The Last of Us was a video game and that Coby played, and they have adapted the video game into a TV show. And so what they've done is they've taken elements of the game and now given them a human side, which is really, really cool. And so watching it with Coby, he's so into it. I love Pedro Pascal. I love him so much.
I really didn't know him before this, but
he's the Mandalorian.
I watched it on Saturday Night Live. Did you watch that?
No, I've seen clips of it, but I can't wait. I love
it.
him so much. And if you've seen The Mandalorian, basically he has Baby Yoda is what they call him, but his name is Grogu, and he's like the magical child, and everybody's trying to get him. And now he's with he's the main character of The Last of Us, and he's helping this girl get to whatever she needs to do. And I saw a meme today that just made me laugh so hard. It said, scientists have said that in 50 years, every movie will be Pedro Pascal trying to get the magical child to where it needs to go. And I just
Exactly.
thought, that is exactly it. But in Mandalorian, if you've never seen Mandalorian, he is in a full face mask. You never see him. So everything you get from him is body movement and his voice. Yeah. And he's not someone that you would say like but you love the Mandalorian so much, and then seeing him in this, and Coby says as Joel, the character that he plays, compared to the Joel in the video game, because apparently Coby said, I don't play video games, but a lot of video games are very story-based now. I mean, I was Mario Kart and Mario Brothers and bing, bada, boom, whatever. But, and I don't know what that bing, bada, boom, but that's what I sounded in my head when I played the game.
No, it is the bing, bada, boom. And they have that now at Mario
right.
Universal.
And so Last of Us, and now a lot of the games are very story-based. So Coby said in some ways it's like watching a movie. And so getting to see these guys have stories. And what I love is at the end of every episode, there's a little point where they talk about it's maybe a 5-minute clip where production, either the writer or the creator or someone for production, talks about how they are humanizing. Oh, it's so good. I love it.
And they're so intelligent and erudite, the way they explain it and all those things. No, I absolutely love it. I think it's brilliant. And everything is going to be copying it, but you need to like grab yourself and watch him on Saturday Night Live. Yeah. Because I saw this guy and everybody was going crazy over him for The Last of Us and I don't know Mandalorian from anything. And I was like, well, he's kind of an interesting leading man, kind of, he's kind of offbeat, and I don't think he's what you, and even
he's
in last...
No, not Batman. He was in Wonder Woman?
I don't know.
The last Wonder Woman?
Oh, really? I didn't like that.
I didn't either. He was the guy in The Office. He was the that was him.
I didn't realize.
Don't hold me on that, but I'm pretty sure that was him.
I didn't like, I mean, it has Chris Pine in it, and I didn't like it. And it's set in 1984, and I didn't like it. You have to watch. Do you know how hard you have to work to make me not like a movie set in 1984 that has Chris Pine in it? You have to work hard.
Well, and it was in some ways laughable because literally at the end of the movie, we were watching it with it was Coby, me, my mom, and Louie. And we were literally laughing at stuff because it was laughable. Oh, and I always say to Coby, don't talk bad about people's productions because people worked hard on that. There are elements of that movie that were really hard to grasp.
Yeah.
That's the best way to say it, right?
I have no problem going, this didn't work. Because everything can't, right? Good people can do stuff and it's magic when it comes together. And sometimes it doesn't come together.
2 people in an episode. It's magic. For the majority of that drove that episode, and it was
it's magic.
Magic. You felt every moment, every emotion. You believed the story. And one of the things that people say that I've read that people have said is, it's a gay love story. Listen, it is a love story. Yeah. It is a relationship between 2 people, and it is. It's going to make me cry. I love it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. But now to see this guy, and he was on Saturday Night Live, and he's funny as all get out.
Funny.
He's like, I'm telling you, he is the new sex symbol because
but see, now you're knowing
minds.
Now. See, we know him from.
Well, I got it. I got it.
Now you understand.
I'm like,
what I love about him because I love people that make fun of themselves and don't take themselves seriously.
Yes.
And he's that guy. He's just like this. I watched. Now it's going to become the Pedro Pascal episode, but I watched. It was an episode. It was something like he did an interview from Variety, and he was talking about they asked true or false questions, and I think he had a lie detector on. Oh. And it was a lie detector because he had to answer right. And it was that same guy we see in all the lie detector videos, right?
Oh, dear.
And he basically was like, do you think of yourself as a sex symbol? And he was like, no. And he goes, that's a lie. And he started to laugh and he was like, what? And then it said, there were questions like that. And then one of the questions was, when you ever feel down about yourself, do you ever go on social media and look at sites that are fan sites? And he just starts to laugh and he was like, yep. And he's like, and they said, what's the fan site? And he goes, Pedro Pascal fans. And he's crying, he's laughing so hard. And it just, of course, then I had to go to that site and look. It was I love him.
Yeah.
Because he's just fun. Anyways, that's, yeah.
And he's a proud Chilean, boy talking about his mama. Yeah. Gotta love that.
I love it.
Absolutely love that. Anyway, I think we've gone over now.
Uh-oh.
I know. Well, that's okay, because we had to talk about all the things.
All the things.
So next month, you're going to come back, and it'll be right around St. Patrick's Day. So we'll figure that out.
Yes.
And then you're going to join us, and there's a rumor that also your son might join us during our April podcastathon.
Yes.
The Autism Network podcastathon. If you guys haven't heard, we are going to go live. Well, we're going to try. It's our intention to go live for 44 hours straight, nonstop.
Shannon, why is it 44 hours?
Because currently the CDC is 1 in 44. So that is why 44 hours. Now, we do believe that the CDC is going to change that number before but we have to plan and whatever. So we're going to stick with the 44 and respectfully commemorate that number. And we can't do it by ourselves. So we're going to have a lot of guests with different podcasts and things like that.
44 hours live, you guys.
44 hours. But you're going to do some time with us, and Coby's going to come, and hopefully, if he's available, because, work, we have to leave room for that, that he'll be able to come and join us for part of it as well. So we need to get him in
Super
here.
exciting.
Yeah. So that'll be in April. That starts on April 4th, and it goes all the way through till April 6th. So don't want to miss that, but tune back in next month and maybe we'll have some.
Wait, I just realized it's going to be on 4/4 too.
Yes.
Was that purposeful?
No, what is
4/4
4/4?
for 44.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Ha ha.
I did not even realize that. I didn't even realize it because I'll
so
tell you
excited.
why. I wanted to do it on a Tuesday because everybody does all their autism events in the month of April. I didn't want to do it on a weekend. I wanted to start it on a Tuesday.
So let's just say
It's
4/4.
It's 4/4. And it's the day that Temple Grandin's new book comes out, and she'll be on in that day.
Yay,
So
Temple.
you guys won't want to miss that. She'll be live with us answering your questions live. So that'll be super cool. I think that's at 7 p.m. Pacific time on 4/4. So do the math for what time zone you're in. And, I love it because for years people have said, oh, we watch you in Australia or Dubai, but we have to watch the podcast. We don't ever get to watch you live. Sometime we would love to, so now everyone's going to get a chance to see it live no matter what time zone you're in. I just don't know. I think I'm going to get stupid tired by the end.
I was going to say, where are you going to sleep? Where are you going to have
I already have plans to bring one of those
mattresses?
people dog beds
Yes.
in and put it in my office so that I
Perfect.
can take short naps. But it won't matter. I'm not going to sleep well.
Of course
I'm
not.
constantly going to wonder what's going on, and So, but I'm not. The plan is for me to not leave for the 44 hours.
Super
so, and we have a plan so that I won't stink afterwards. But my hair's going to look super fun by the end. Because I don't know if you guys realize I pull on my hair, and by the end of the day, I look like a crazy person. Even more so than normal. Anyway, we're out of time. But make sure you join us tomorrow for Stories from the Spectrum, and make sure that you join us on Monday, because normally we do parent to parent on Monday, but we're not this Monday. This Monday, we are having the two gentlemen who are the hosts of their own podcast, Just Two Dads, on.
Fun.
And their show is so much fun because in a lot of ways, it's very similar to what our it's two dads that sit and they talk about everything. But I find it fascinating that what they talk about is just so vastly different than what we talk about on a lot of subjects. But their perspective is just so valuable and interesting. And, I love a good interested dad. So just two of them will be on Monday, which will be super fun. So you want to make sure that you tune in for that. And then don't forget that Doreen, Ask Dr. Doreen, will be on Tuesday. So see you tomorrow for Stories from the Spectrum. Until then, give your kiddos a hug for me and one for you too.
I'm thankful for you guys all. Happy Valentine's Day.